Would you rather Tencent be hated by people or bankrupt? He's obviously scarred from that. Nobody said anything and they just said, are you here to be hired? On his name card is his QQ number.
Oh.
But everyone else who he talked to in Hong Kong did not have QQ. So who's the real David and who's the real Goliath? Why is it scary? You see, it's founded by this guy called Pang Shen Dong. Act 2. We were talking about VAS doing well, right? But as you rightly mentioned, it's like 80% of their total revenue stream, right? They kind of knew at that point, like, we need to diversify, right? So what did they choose to do? They said, okay, we're going to test B2C one more time. Just to recap, B2C was a disaster. They did QQ Club, right? You thought they'll make 100K, they made 20K a month, right? Like, it's a disaster. Okay, here's what they first tried, right? They tried gatekeeping. They literally reduced the number of signups that's available unless, right, you pay like a bit of a premium, you know? So you can get faster accounts if you call a hotline or do SMS registration. To give you an idea, right, do you know what is their signups a month now? Previously it was 500K. What is it now? It's higher.
850K.
1 mil.
Walao.
So they obviously tried to suppress it. And then they tried to monetize that. Guess how far did they suppress it? So monthly subscriptions limit.
20K.
Oh no, actually they did 400K.
So they throttled their number of subscriptions and then...
But if you want more faster, you just call the hotline or pay SMS right?
This is the point where they tried to charge a registration fee, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Of which they didn't say it's a registration fee.
To call the hotline for 1 or 2.
It's like, we now have many users signing up.
I see.
But if you want it faster, you can try and call the SMS.
So basically their user growth halved, because more than half, less than half.
Them doing this, right, was a massive double whammy.
Yeah.
You know why? Not only did they reduce their subscription, as a user, right, and you see that you are being rejected, what do? You sign up multiple times. So actually, right,
the volume went up.
Yes, the volume of applicants went up, right, in order to increase their chance, right? And all of a sudden, people got real pissed off.
Yeah.
So apparently in forums, right, people were complaining, and in fact, right, traditional media, right, said, trying to copy email registration fees, Tencent performs a clumsy imitation. Wow, brutal. You know what I mean? That's a brutal statement. Okay, what happened as well, right? Apparently their office, right, have a hotline.
Yeah.
The hotline, right, they say was buzzing every single day, right? People just complaining to them.
Basically scolding them.
Everyone in the team was basically like, hey, you know what? I think we should kind of like, we should rethink this through, right?
Yeah.
What they did, right, is, okay, let's first get our lawyer to draft a response. Okay.
To the consumers.
Yeah, do you know what their lawyer said?
What?
Here's what they said translated. We have sufficient reason to believe that excessive fast growth in registrations is an enormous waste of resource. Do you...
Hey, you guys, our customers are a waste of our resources. That's just crazy.
I don't know, man. You know what I mean? I don't know. Okay, anyway.
So they tried this in 01, 02, right?
Yeah.
So you guess their market share by 2003. It started in 2000, they had about 90% market share. And then they did this. You guess what their market share was in 2003?
I think about 60%.
Actually not so bad.
70.
So actually not that big a problem for them. They dropped to 75% market share.
Wow, but still though.
It's a big drop.
Yeah.
Self-induced.
Correct.
And then you guess who took that market share?
Not MSN.
MSN. MSN took 5%, 15% of market share in that period of time.
Interesting. I thought it would be the duplicates that would emerge out of this.
So I think duplicates also took some, but MSN also took a pretty sizable market share from them.
Okay. Well, but that's still a lot though. It's
Still
like 15...
monopoly. Still a monopoly.
I like how you whispered that. Yeah, okay, sure. 75% is still a monopoly. But but in just 1 year this happens. It's quite crazy though.
Yeah.
You think about it, it's like 4 years, if this continues, they are basically losing their monopoly status.
Yeah, essentially.
after that lawyer drafted that crazy response, right, quite a few people in the company actually wanted to drop this throttling. But Ponima insisted to keep it on. And do you know why they say so? He said he wants this on because would you rather Tencent be hated by people or bankrupt? He's obviously scarred from that during that period where he's not making a lot of money, I think he was very scarred, for sure. As he throttles it, right, people are still desperate and hungry for ICQ. What happened during that time? A whole bunch, right, of other companies started duplicating and creating now QQ duplicates.
They are Tencent.
Yeah. They are basically Tencent. Although, once again, I would say, right, I don't think Tencent deserves the full hardcore copycat moniker at this point.
Okay.
I think later on we'll talk about it. But I think at this point, right, they're basically doing what everyone else is doing, right? Okay, all these duplicates come, right? About 30 over duplicates. During this period, right, they were almost completely screwed, if not for VAS, that was helping them make money. Except, near the mid-2002, right, there was discussions, right, happening inside the company. And they saw something in Korea that was going to change their lives.
This is SayClub.
SayClub. Boom. Okay, let me show you a picture. This is SayClub. Over here.
It's a Harbour Hotel.
Yes, that is how you would describe SayClub to
Singaporeans,
people.
yeah.
Correct. This is SayClub. What is SayClub, right? You can buy like all sorts of like kind of cute things for your house or for your user. But let's talk about what did they discover. We need to talk about this man, right? Xiong. So who's Xiong, right? This guy, he's a product manager. Here's the interesting thing. He was supposed to come in, right, in Tencent to work in sales for the internet cafe segment. But guess what? He reported 2 weeks late. Somehow, nobody cared, nobody remembered him. Everyone was so busy that they didn't bother. So when he came 2 weeks late, he wasn't fired, nobody said anything, and they just said, are you here to be hired?
Why the hell is this guy 2 weeks late?
No one knows, right? Dude, the guy went there. Okay, wait. If I recall correctly, he said he recalled his dates was wrong.
The shit that you get away with last
but
time.
that's a very bad, I don't know if that's a good enough reason. But anyway.
The shit that you get away with last time is crazy.
Right. Dude, so now this guy goes there, and you know what? They said, okay, actually, right, we don't have a vacancy for internet cafe sales, but you know what? You can be a product manager.
Sounds like a promotion.
It does, right? Do you know what he said?
What
He
is
said,
internet cafe sales?
I guess BD or...
Go door to door, right?
Okay, but internet cafe sales back then was massive. It's probably a massive portfolio. Okay, but you know what did he say? He said, what does a product manager do? They say, they just study products and propose something useful. So you know what did he do? He decided to study products. He really did. He started to spend his time searching the web for any interesting examples of how people are just spending money online.
Yeah.
And he stumbles on SayClub. So what did he find out over there? He found out SayClub was in Korea. And what did they do in Korea? In Korea, they were having this thing called virtual personas, right? And he understood nothing. So he paid a translator 400 renminbi to translate the entire website for him in Chinese, right? He thought this was genius. He was like, this thing is obviously what people might pay in Tencent.
Yeah.
So he quickly made a report and emailed everyone in the company,
For watchers context, it's basically like a chat room portal, but then there is it's like a social network. It's like a chat room portal, and then there's an avatar, and then you can see this entire room, and then you basically flirt with the people or chat with other friends or whatever. And then these avatars are there when they first appear, they're naked. No clothes on.
Really? Are they naked?
Completely naked. They don't.
Wow.
That's why you look like a loser if you don't spend money basically. Yeah.
Or you are a massive pervert.
That's true Or you are, but then how cool your avatar looks. Everything that you see over there, the pet the furniture, all can be bought using real world money.
They should give you minimal clothes. Some free clothes, right? Otherwise, you want naked avatar.
No, I think it's why you spawn naked, bro.
Actually, that's true. That's the real way to make money.
It's like RuneScape. You spawn naked also.
Wait, are you naked in RuneScape?
I mean, you got clothes, but you got no armor.
Okay, fair. Okay, so basically, he writes this proposal, sends to everyone in his company, you know? And guess what happened? No one replied him. In fact, right, no one replied him for 1 month. This genius idea called SayClub, right? So for context, spoiler to the viewers, SayClub's microtransactions would be the key to Tencent's biggest revenue stream. But at the time, when he wrote the report, everyone ignored him. So you know what happened? He was just walking around and he met Tencent's second in command to the sales. So chief of sales, second in command, he met that guy. And he shared with him this idea. And you know what? The guy said, actually, this sounds like a good idea. Can you go and do more research and tell me, SayClub, right? How much are people spending on, right? He estimated and he realized, right, that people were spending about 5 renminbi on this. And so if they projected it on their Tencent users, it's going to be a windfall of money. So you know what happened? He realized like, okay, this is legit. But guess what? In his research, he also found out that the rest of China, all of their instant messaging competitors, were also now experimenting with avatars.
Oh, so it's a race.
Yes. And I think in Tencent, right, if you tell them a race is on, right, I think you get everyone's attention. I suspect they like this kind of thing.
They like pain.
So anyway, right, his long report, right, that he made, right, he doubled down on it. He made an 80-page PowerPoint slide. And he also explained to people that even though we're late to the game, right, we might be able to win. Just trust me, I will do it. Right?
Product manager.
Yeah, so guess what? The second in command guy was like, hey, you know what? I think this wins. He took that research, showed it to everyone, and all of a sudden, they all agreed. But here's the little fun fact. Remember I said that after they received the funding from NASPER, they had an organization change. The organization change, right, had one strict rule, which is all innovations need to come from the engineering team. He was seated more towards marketing. And as a result of that, right, in the meeting room, right, they say this will only happen, right, if our brother Wintermelon agrees. You know, the brother Wintermelon, right, was saying, hey, actually, this sounds very interesting. So that's the only reason why it happened. Who did he send? He sent 3 programmers and 1 designer to this guy. He said, go on, like, build up the entire
base of
clothes.
The people will buy.
Right? That was not enough manpower. So in the end, they had to commission a Korean company to map out everything. So in 2 months, right, guess how many items did they have to make?
800 plus.
Oh my gosh, shit, you're right. It's exactly 800. In 2 months, they had to make 800 items, right? They then argue, right, that okay, maybe we need to make it into legit like a runway show kind of vibe, right? So then they call it, okay, QQ show. So how did they launch this thing, right? Our dear Mr. Product Manager, right, had a brilliant idea. You know what's his idea? He said, right, hey, look, I'm just gonna give all my users 10 renminbi worth of tokens. And then now they can redeem it. But based on all this redemption, right, essentially they will want more, right? Because they can't buy whatever they need.
Yeah.
And the idea is each item, right, can only last for 6 months. Isn't that kind of smart but so diabolical?
Yeah, it's worse than your clothes, offline clothes.
Yeah, even if I buy the cheapest clothes possible, right, it can still last more than 6 months, right? By the way, each item costs about 0.5 to 1 renminbi. Let's look at how some of the items can look like, right? Let's look what the QQ show peeps can look like.
Basically a copy and paste of
It is.
SayClub, say more, SayClub.
Also, don't you think it's funny that a lot of the models have blonde hair?
I think you can choose one, right?
Yeah, can. But like, I suspect back then also the interest is to have a bit more blonde hair.
To be whitewashed?
Maybe. I mean, westernization was very like prestigious back then, right?
Yeah.
So they launched it. And in the first 6 months, right, guess how much money were they making? Renminbi.
12 million renminbi.
Oh, wow. No, actually, they made 5 million though.
Not bad.
But that's insane though,
Yeah.
5 million. Considering that their first initiative, right, once again, only made 20,000
200,000.
renminbi. Like 20,000, not 200,000. Their QQ club that they started, right? Like 5 million is a massive success, right? Actually, they found out, right, that each customer, right, fun fact, right, was spending on average 5 renminbi.
Spot on.
Yeah.
Spot on.
But yeah, it's exactly as he estimate, right? So it's quite fascinating, lah. And this is really their first unlock to microtransactions, which is, as we all know, going to be the biggest way that Tencent really makes their money, or just endless microtransactions. Okay, so right, after they made money off this, they realized, hey, you know what? Maybe now is the time that we do monthly subscriptions. And maybe people don't care about auspicious numbers, but what they care about, right, is all these fashion things, right? Can we create a bundle where they basically get more things in a day, right? They created this thing, Red Diamond Nobility. What a name, Red Diamond Nobility package.
Red Diamond Nobility package.
Yeah. But anyway, basically, you pay 10 renminbi a month. What will you get? You will get the badge. You will get daily gift pack. You get 5 free flowers. I don't know what can you give the flowers for. I'm guessing guys can give it to girls.
Oh, girls can give it to girls.
Right? Girls can give it to girls. They get automatic daily outfit change. No idea how does that work. They also get free gifts that they can give to their friends. And on the QQ Mall, they get premium discount. Quite sick, huh?
They like to do all these very complicated packages. With it's a very Chinese thing, I think. You know why it's a Red Nobility package?
Okay, tell me.
Because your chat name is bolder and red.
Really? Wait, that's why they name it red?
You get like a special animated background that looks like a nobility.
Wow. Damn, would I want to be a nobility? I think I would. Man, okay, so here's the thing, right? Monthly revenues of items was around 3 to 5 million renminbi a month, right?
3 to 5 million renminbi a month. Okay.
That was the item sold, lah. When they had Red Diamond Mobility, right? People were spending more than 10 million now.
Oh, that's crazy. It's really a AOV up.
Yeah. I'm guessing, right, how it works, right, is really low. If I'm going to spend 10 renminbi a month on this, right, I want to buy enough items that I save more than 10 renminbi a month, right?
Yeah. I think it's rather, before that, maybe I only spend like 3 renminbi if it's a la carte. But then now it's like, when I subscribe, the subscription costs me, I don't know, 10 renminbi or something. Then everything is free for all, right? So
Yeah,
lor.
Dude, have you tried the Grab Tourist Pass before?
No.
It will change your life. Look, people, honestly, right, Grab should be paying me money for the amount of people that I'm telling them on the Grab Tourist Pass.
I've never heard of it.
You know, basically, whenever you go to any other country, right, you can buy a Grab Tourist Pass for like $1 SGD and you'll get like 10 Grab vouchers. The moment you spend on one Grab voucher, you make that $1 SGD. But here's the smart part about Grab. Because of that 10 voucher, now I'm spending Grab 10 times. Just because to me it's so worth it.
Yeah.
In the end, right, my average Grab spend, I realize it's about 3 to 4 times more. So it's actually quite genius.
Yeah.
Like some of the vouchers that they give me is like food delivery.
Yeah.
But like I would have never ordered food delivery in Thailand as often as I do.
Yeah.
But I do just because I bought that thing and I got to it. But anyway, okay, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Now, how much is all of this thing contributing to their total revenue split? Do you have it?
Now or at that point in time?
At that point in time.
At that point in time, I don't know.
Okay, I have it.
How much is it?
Guess.
In millions or in percent?
In percent.
60.
60?
Oh,
Actually it's 1/8 only.
that's still small.
It's still small.
I was expecting it to be way bigger than all the other.
No. When they started, in the grand scheme of things, it's small, but it was growing rapidly. Okay, now here's the thing. This QQ show, right, was not just important in telling Tencent about microtransactions.
Okay.
But do you know what else they do? Tencent, after the Nespa investment, was telling themselves that they'll be engineering first and all innovations will come from the engineering team. But with this experience, they decided, you know what? It should be good ideas can come from anyone.
Anyway, yeah.
And actually, it should be project first, right? So they suddenly realized that whoever has a good idea, wherever you're from, just propose it. We'll form the project teams needed and then you start growing. Here's the fascinating thing lah. Now might be an interesting time to talk about a culture, work culture that exists. Some people call it shark womb culture. But you know, when you look at the Chinese literature, do you know what do they call it?
赛马,
Yeah.
horse racing.
Internal horse racing,
Yeah.
right? It's more horse racing culture.
Yeah.
Don't you find that fascinating, firstly?
I think when you use it to describe others, it's a little bit more like negative, right? Or like shark womb, right? So competitive. Horse racing is like, oh yeah, get the best outcome. But I actually think it's much closer to what the Westerners describe.
Really?
It. So it's we talked about it earlier, it's a very Chinese culture, right? 内卷, right? So because there's so much supply in the market, which is pumped down from a supply-driven economy, there's a lot of competition, right? Everybody's chasing after the same thing, the same goal. Everybody's working towards the same end output, but in competing teams. So it ends up being very competitive, very cannibalistic, I think. Yeah. It's much closer to shark womb, I think. There are some companies in China, right? Right now, they treat their sales teams as individual
Wolf pack.
companies, essentially individual companies.
Yeah.
So they source product from the same factories, essentially, right? And then they provide you with all the CRM, API systems that like allows you to run your own website and everything. But each sales team is given like a budget and like a P&L to own, and they compete against each other.
Yeah.
So they set up a website, they set up like the procurement and everything, and then they run advertising, and then they sell the products. And then each P&L is looked at separately. Then the products that work or the teams that work get more budget.
Yeah.
These companies are not small. A lot of them are listed. Crazy, right?
Yeah. I know one big one that does it, Huawei.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, Huawei. That is their whole sales principle when they started.
That's crazy.
They call it the Wolfpack culture. 2004 comes along, important year. Why?
2004. Is that the 51.com?
Oh, it is related, but in this case, it's the IPO.
Oh,
They're
yes.
thinking of IPO
Yes.
now. Okay. Let's talk about this guy here.
Who is this? This is the banker.
Yes.
What's his name?
Martin.
From Goldman?
Martin Lau.
Goldman Sachs?
Yes, Goldman Sachs.
Goldman Sachs. Yeah.
Goldman Sachs.
TMT banker.
Okay, anyway, here's the thing. Naspers invested into Tencent.
Yeah.
And around 2004, they thought, okay, look, China has rebounded from the dot-com crash.
Yeah.
And I think now is the time that we can start exploring an IPO. Okay? Let's do this thing. So Tencent started to meet a lot of different people, right, that wants to help them to IPO, right? And out of everyone that he meets, one of them is Martin Lau. So this guy, Martin, right, was the only one that shocked Pony Ma when he gave his name card. Why?
When he gave his name card.
Yeah. Imagine everyone that Pony Ma meets, everyone is giving Pony Ma name card. But when Martin gives his name card, Pony Ma stops in his tracks. Why?
Why?
On his name card is his QQ number.
Oh.
But everyone else who he talked to in Hong Kong did not have QQ. This guy did his research. Apparently, right, when he did his research, he realized like, hey, you know what? We need to put a QQ number just so that it's relevant.
Yeah.
So anyway, the other thing that surprised Pony, right, is when he met them, he was super blunt with him. He said, literally, look, Tencent, too much of your money is in VAS, right? You need to diversify. And the only way to do that is to tap on your network effect and just rock and roll and explode. Why is this important to Pony? Throughout the past few years, he has actually been telling his team that he wants to diversify and to go into many things by using his network effect.
See, yeah.
But the whole team has always been saying, wait. Let's not be too reckless. So Martin, all of a sudden, was speaking directly to his soul, right? Directly to what he wanted to do, right? Yeah. To give you some context, to what degree did people try to stop Pony Ma from starting things? When Pony Ma wanted to do games, right? Everyone disagreed that he had to fly his team over, right, to see the biggest US gaming convention. Only in that big US gaming convention did one of the co-founders go, okay, fine, we can try it out. Like that's how big he had to push in order to do it. But Martin Lau got it straight away,
Yeah.
right? So kindred spirits. And
Martin
you know,
Lau has a pretty illustrious career. Started at McKinsey as a management consultant. Went into
Management
Goldman
consultants.
Sachs investment banking. Eventually becoming ED and CEO of their TMT practice. That's when he ran point on Tencent's IPO deal.
Wow.
Crazy guy,
madness, eh?
Pretty, I mean, some people do consulting, some people do investment banking. This mofo is like,
Yeah.
I'm going to do both. I'm going to do it both at the best companies.
Correct. Martin is clearly someone who spoke, right, to Pony.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing that he said. He said, you know what, you should have a lower valuation, not higher. And
Crazy.
And Pony Ma really wanted that.
How come?
He really wanted a lower valuation because, actually, Pony felt very reserved on how far they can grow. So he actually felt that he wanted to leave money on the table just in case they can beat expectations.
It's crazy.
So he's ready to rock and roll. He's basically like, okay, look, I think Martin is the guy that really completely gets everything.
Yeah.
And they started to work together.
Yeah.
So the 2003 numbers from their offering documents, I got those numbers. Guess what is their revenue in renminbi?
175?
No, it's way higher.
Was it?
Yeah, it's way higher.
How far off am I?
Multiples higher.
Multiples higher. 2B.
Okay, no, 700 million. 735 million lah.
Okay.
Guess what is their profit?
Probably 50%.
Oh my god, you're right. It's 322 million.
Yeah, because they were just selling.
Man,
They're just selling
good job.
fixed shit, right?
Yeah. That's true. In total, it made 5 billionaires and 10 millionaires.
That's crazy. I mean, the IPO at 200 mil USD. The original list price was 370 Hong Kong dollars, including stock split. If you bought an IPO, it will be 680x
600?
and 80x.
That's crazy, eh? Wow, 680x.
Yeah.
Madness.
Let's talk about the rise of Chinese internet companies. Who were the first generation of companies?
Yes. All the portal duplicates, all the haikui, those Chinese people that go overseas, then see what happened in US, then bring it
Copy
back.
paste, yep. So Yahoo of China, Sohu, Google of China, Baidu, Alibaba, Tencent,
Okay.
and actually after a certain point in time, NetEase lah.
Yeah.
Right. So NetEase is known as a gaming company externally, but actually in China they do a whole bunch of shit. This was probably the 90s. There were two sets of founders, right? One that you rightly mentioned, Haikui, right? People that were born, educated in overseas. They see how Silicon Valley, whatever US nonsense. This included Baidu founder Robin Li. It included Sohu founder Charles Zhang. So these people study in like MIT, MITs of the world. But then there were also our friends like Ma Hua Teng, Pony Ma, Jack Ma at a certain point also, right? All these people that actually studied locally, but because they studied engineering, software, they were people that actually went to build some freaking FIDO network shit. They were also exposed to this part of the world. So very different. One is more like they saw what was happening in the US and they decided that, it works. But then another one is just like curiosity, what they studied, and then they build it out. But very interesting because how all these culture and information travels the world. And then you realize actually, if you start it up from scratch from the local market, from a first principles basis, you end up with the same outcome, or maybe even a better outcome, arguably.
No, I think because the biggest companies, right, are first and foremost solving a real functional issue, like communications, like purchasing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's why I think for sure, right, you'll always get the same thing.
Similar outcome. So one big reason I think China is in a good position to innovate in a lot of these areas, right? Payments is one of them, which we can talk in detail in another section. But one is they don't have the existing infrastructure. right? So it's a leapfrog. I have no credit cards or whatever infra that is legacy. There are infrastructure gaps that need to be solved, which is what you said. They need to solve a fundamental problem. It's a huge market. That a lot of these innovations, if it works well. It basically scales. So all these factors, I think, add together just make China a good market for innovation.
And also, I think Chinese people are naturally more competitive.
They are, but they are also... Why it's different from like India? India is not a homogeneous market.
Yeah.
China is
correct.
everyone speaks Putonghua.
Correct.
Yep.
So things are going well, right, for Tencent. Let's talk about MSN versus QQ.
Okay.
So the share price is definitely affected by MSN and MSN's pursuit into China. But while I think we need to talk about it, right, I think MSN and the QQ fight is oftentimes like overblown in my opinion. I think everyone focuses on it and like Silicon Valley is all about, oh my God, this is the only reason why we know about Tencent, right? It's like, wow, they destroyed this
David
giant...
versus Goliath.
Yeah, David versus... But like, okay, look, like, let me just pull out some numbers, right? For context for people. MSN invested USD less than 5 million and their Shanghai partner invested about 3 million USD. That means, right, they have about 8 million USD in their Chinese entity, right? Tencent's net profit, right, is like multiples of that amount in million USD.
Yep.
So who's the real David and who's the real Goliath?
So just to supplement that, right? MSN market share throughout the years never hit more than 18%.
Yeah.
Even at its peak 2005, it was 18%. It's often quoted like I think there was a quote in some of like when people talk about this that, hey, Bonima saw that the market share of MSN became 50+% and he was very scared how are we losing kind of thing, right? It's a very nuanced view of the market. It's 50% of white collar workers.
Yeah, of the segmented. Right. Like it is so exaggerated, I feel, this MSN versus Tencent fight.
Yeah.
But anyway, we've got to talk about it, right? I think there is two reasons why this fight could be significant.
Yeah.
I think the first one is, yes, among white collar workers, this is probably important.
Yep.
Just because these are the real money makers, right? I don't think you can monetize 10 million tweens, but I think you can monetize like 10,000 like corporate workers, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's one. I think the second thing, right, that's quite a legit problem is the person that's spearheading the entire MSN battle from MSN is Jeff Xiong Minghua. Who's this guy and why is he so important and why should everyone be scared? So you see, Jeff is a 9-year veteran in Microsoft.
Yep.
Why he matters is that he was actually in Microsoft during the battle of Microsoft versus Netscape. So he, right, actually got to see how Microsoft won and he was part of the Internet Explorer team. That was the very thing they were fighting Netscape on. So he was very, very aggressive during this period. And therefore, as a reputation, right, anyone from the Internet Explorer team is someone that you should be scared of. Now, his influence in America is perhaps not as great as versus in China because while that is his reputation, he's also someone who contributes oftentimes in China's software scene. To the point, right, that he wrote apparently 2 authoritative books, which the founders of Tencent actually buy to read, to understand. So, in that lens, right, I think Tencent is a bit screwed because that's the guy that you're fighting against.
That's the level of talent that he has and also the level of talent that he can attract. Because good people attract good people to work for them. Yeah.
Dude, apparently the CTO, right, the brother of Wintermelon dude, was like, he attended this guy's talks. Like that's how big he is, right? Okay, so Jeff was the guy that is going to go, right, and spearhead this MSN thing. I think that's quite legitly scary. Throughout this period, right, actually QQ was already building themselves up against MSN. They've actually been fighting, right, to get market share among white-collar workers with what they call premium QQ features, like sending files over and all this kind of thing. They even have people on the ground, right, to actually talk to the business owners to try and get them on QQ. So from that perspective, right, considering that MSN has more than 50% market share when QQ was actually spending some money and MSN was not really, I can understand why there is that fear. But still, in terms of like size, right, of investment, it's nothing. Okay, let's go quickly first into what QQ did right.
Okay.
QQ actually partnered with Google at that time.
Oh, is it?
Yeah. So Google was in China back then.
Yep.
And they were giving full access for search and everything. And they actually agreed with the Chinese government, right, that whatever censorship you want of us, we will do it.
Okay.
So Google was there and they actually plugged in the search function into QQ.
Okay.
So QQ is already much better. Okay, now they also then acquired a company called Foxmail. Foxmail is owned by a Mr. Zhang, who has what they believe as one of the best email service out there. And this is very important because MSN essentially has that. They have like emailing in their entire parent company suite. So they needed email to kind of compete with them. Okay.
Foxmail is the one that eventually...
Yes.
Okay. Eventually was the precursor to WeChat, right?
Good teaser. What did MSN do right? MSN, the moment they decided to enter China hard, right, they actually choose to launch a portal site where they work with all the different partners, that exist in China. What does that mean, right? All of a sudden, overnight, right, they suddenly have like an entire news feed, an entire portal that's supplied by local news people, which is quite scary, if you ask me. For context, QQ is already trying to enter the portal game.
Yeah.
Right? Then now you sign up for MSN, they say, wow, 一眨眼, one night, right? Then suddenly they get a massive news platform emerging right out of it. Okay, they also announced something that was very interesting. They announced interoperability with Yahoo.
Okay.
Why is this significant? People were saying, right, that interoperability is the most important thing when it comes to messengers back then. And actually, no one wanted to do it. But MSN and Yahoo, them agreeing to it, right, feels a bit like, oh, now Tencent's the bad guy.
Yeah.
Like, Tencent is the one that's trying to prevent people, right?
Yeah.
Okay. What did QQ do next, right? They actually worked a lot on the business features as well. Like, it reached a point where they can send way bigger files than MSN.
Yeah.
Which, dude, I can imagine back then, right? Like the very fact that I use Telegram sometimes over WhatsApp to talk to people, it's just, I can send some files over.
Faster also.
Faster. Send some files over, and it's like bigger, right?
No, but faster also means less safe, right?
Less what?
Less safe.
Less safe. Oh, yes. 100%. But I think most of us care about speed.
Yeah, because we're not sending any illegal stuff.
I'm sending you a picture of myself talking.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, question, what are your thoughts? Do you think micro-innovations is the best way?
Maybe we tie this back to the context. So MSN actually started from a pretty good base, in my opinion, right? Why they won so much in white collar? Because they come bundled with Hotmail, Internet Explorer, right? So you already have you talked about Yahoo Finance and Yahoo News. Actually, they also had their own, which is MSN/Hotmail.
Yes.
Right, so they already had all these and it comes ready. And MSN is just their customer acquisition strategy. So they already had a ready universe of Microsoft products that they could plug in and tag into the Microsoft ecosystem. So they started from a very good base. And you compare to our good friend QQ over there, actually not much, right? They have an app, they have some random shit where they sell you some avatar. They had to either do all these BD stuff or micro-innovate. Innovate such that it's localized to your taste. Why it matters? MSN, at the end of the day, they stuck to a very traditional setup, a very traditional business model. Ad banners, portal traffic, MSN.com charging you those advertising.
Yeah.
Right? Nothing new, just copy and paste directly from US and something that worked in the US. And their culture is very different, right? If you want to ship any features, yo, gotta ask Global, hey Global, can you approve my budget? After you approve my budget, then let's finally go and ship that feature. So maybe it takes 3 months to ship a feature. What do I think about micro innovations as a whole? I think micro innovations work in certain industries. So micro innovations basis is work quickly, test and learn. After that, you innovate and keep what works and then throw away what doesn't, right? And then you slowly get better. It works in areas where efficiency doesn't matter and your industry has a lot of margin. So actually, Google is a company that's very good at micro innovation, I would say.
Yeah.
So we are not as competitive as Tencent, but we allow people to work on different side projects and projects everywhere that might not amount to anything. But when the time comes and like a competitor like OpenAI comes, they'll be like, hey, actually we worked on this chatbot thing like 3 years ago, but it's sitting somewhere in a corner, right? Micro innovations, in my view, work very well in companies with margin and also when you are pointed in the right direction, right? But you won't be able to spot like blind spots, like a new market like Uber, right? You won't be able to spot it, I think.
Okay, interesting. By December 2005, right, actually the MSN and QQ war, right, is actually as good as over lah. Why do I say that, right? Once again, I know that everyone is obsessed about MSN and QQ war, especially if they come from Silicon Valley. But the reality is that China is only 2% of Microsoft's total global business, right? And Mr. Jeff, as much as he's so zai, they only allow him to approve projects that's worth 500K.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous, right? How much can he... Dude, how much can he impact, right?
I would say the exit and loss in China of MSN was more MSN failure than a QQ win lah.
100%.
Right? I mean, all their
100%.
servers were sitting in the US. By the time you send a message, it takes like 2 minutes, 3 minutes to come
100%.
back. It's not an instant messaging service anymore. Actually, a big failure. I don't know whether you remember last time Windows Live Messenger.
Yeah.
Remember the nudge, the turn, then back. I think that was the point where I stopped using MSN as well. And everybody hated the transition because Windows Live Messenger was so bogged down by like ads, by like bunch of features that nobody used. I think it came around the same time as like, if I'm not wrong, Vista. The whole thing was just laggy as hell. And basically, you think about it, it was bad in Singapore already. It was probably bad in the US already. You go to China where the market is like, the infrastructure and the PCs are like 5-10 years behind. It's only like a wonder why it didn't fail sooner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, right, do you know what's my theory? Back then, right, the reality is that every single company that's public, right, is being asked the question, what are you doing about China?
Yeah.
And I think, right, Bill Gates, right, just wanted to say,
We have a plan.
this is our plan for China. Like, we're going to heavy execute. And then I think that was enough for their stock price back then. So what happened, right, is that after that, he left MSN and he actually joined Tencent. Tencent hired him to be co-CTO with our brother Wintermelon, right? Okay, here's an interesting thing though. Interesting thing is that he said, right, that when he went back to the universities and he now said, hey, come and join Tencent, he actually realized, right, that the number of people that's interested to join Tencent is extremely little compared to when he was in MSN, Microsoft. He realized that actually Tencent managed to out-innovate them purely based on speed with what he called Tier 2 university graduates. It kind of dawned on him like, oh shit, like that's how bad we were fighting ourselves, right? That we lose to this Tier 2 thing. Anyway, I feel it's an eventuality that he will join Tencent.
Yeah.
He has been asked before and he obviously sees them as pretty zai since they managed to beat him. By the way, when they were fighting Microsoft, right, at that time, like just for context for people as well, the number of employees that they have, right, is 2,000. Tencent. So look, this David and Goliath thing again, right, that people keep saying,
the way around.
yeah, it's just so ridiculous. But anyway, in 8 years, right, when Jeff was there, the company, right, grew, right, from 2,000 to, guess the number.
8 years.
Yeah, 8 years.
The 25K.
30K, yeah?
Whoa.
30K, yeah? Right, it's quite crazy. Okay, anyway, what did he do there? Like he teach them the systemized way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
And this thing is
Systemized way.
right. This is huge, right? Considering that they are quote unquote almost hooliganism in the way that they are doing all the coding, right? To just try and beat their enemies. Also, the way that they hired people, lah. They said that he kind of teach them ways to hire, teach them how to create like career progressions for people. So, for example, one thing is called technical experts versus managers, lah. Right? Like, some people are just so good at their job, but they don't want to manage people. So he kind of teach them that kind of way of hiring people and promoting people. He also created a new system for bug tracking, lah.
Bug tracking.
Yeah, which was apparently really, really good because last time everyone just running around, right? Something on fire, then they pour water, lah. But he teach people how to basically structure it.
File a ticket, raise a bug.
Yeah, well, this kind of thing. Then also structure it all together, right? Because you structure it together, actually you might find out that maybe like 20 of the bugs, right, is caused by one unified problem, right? Yeah, so there's all these things that he did, which I think really step changed Tencent.
Process lah, put process in.
Correct.
All the
Step
boring
change.
stuff.
Made them more legit, right?
Yeah.
In the way they think. We've heard so much about Jeff. Let's see how he looks like. Over here is our brother, Jeff. Cool guy, huh?
He looks a lot older than I thought. What year is this?
Oh no.
Yeah.
But he has a kind of like boyish look, right?
Yeah.
For someone who they say is gonna destroy, like who's spearheading MSN, is gonna destroy Tencent. It's like a pretty boyish look. But anyway, that is our cool friend Jeff. So far we've kind of talked about how Tencent makes its money, and it's predominantly in microtransactions. But that is not the most common form of, I think, revenue generation when we look at the West. So let's talk about microtransactions versus ads.
Sure. Interesting topic. I think let's talk in the context of where they are today. So QQ. Let's also talk in the context of the broader world in 2026 lah.
Okay.
Right. So, question to you. Why do you think Tencent pursued microtransactions?
I think the internet population of China at that time, right, is pretty much not marketable. Like they are either very poor or it's like super young.
Yeah.
No one wants to pay for an audience that is
Non-monetizable.
non-monetizable.
Okay.
That's
I
kind
buy
of
that.
where I first start off with.
I buy that. Yeah, I think what makes sense is what you said. Partially, no ads are charged on the supplier side, right? The brand or whoever is trying to target. So if there's no population that is monetizable, meaning I don't think I can make back my cost of acquisition through selling to these people, I'm unlikely to target. I think that's part of it. I think more fundamentally, there's a business model difference, and I'll try to explain that. Are you familiar with aggregation theory?
No, let's go.
So aggregation theory is by this tech analyst called Ben Thompson. He's quite well known.
Is this the guy who wrote the Strat?
Yes, Stratechery guy. Yeah. Okay, so
shout out Stratechery.
Shout out to Strat. If you shout out back to us, I think we made it already.
Sick.
In the past, before the internet era, in order to sell someone something, like a newspaper or like even like a pillow or whatever, you need to produce the good, then you need to send it through some logistics method, and you finally send it to the end consumer, right? So there is some level of control of supply, and there's some level of cost associated with distributing something to your end consumer, right? What changed with the internet era is basically free for all lah. There's no marginal cost in distribution. What aggregation theory is saying is that because there's no marginal cost of distribution and supply, I can, if I act as someone that commoditizes and aggregates all the supply, and then I interface with the user itself, meaning Guangjin who is searching for a newspaper or something, and I type it in Google search, newspaper, right? Essentially, the aggregator or Google owns the consumer relationship, and because they own the consumer relationship, because they sit in between, actually the suppliers are at the mercy of the aggregator. And the aggregator is in a superior position because I get to choose which supplier I show you. And the consumer is indifferent, or generally indifferent, if Google or the aggregator is good enough at showing you what you want. Right? So in that sense, that business model, one, is very lucrative because there's no marginal cost. Two, you completely own the customer relationship, and that's why the ad model kind of makes sense, right? So I choose who I show you. I ask my suppliers to bid against each other in order to be the one that gets shown. Obviously, try to put in some objective factors, right? Not just who pays me more gets shown, right? So fundamentally, that's what it is, right? And it's such a lucrative model because there's no marginal cost, and it's such a lucrative model because suppliers also benefit from it. It's actually kind of like a beneficial relationship because you can make money by having the most relevant supplier shown to the most relevant user, right?
Yeah.
So that's where I think the ad model makes sense. Whereas QQ, it's not really like it controls all the supply. The supply is only the people that are on the QQ platform, right? At the same time, I think what matters more in this is, okay, can we develop applications or can we develop tools that are on this platform that, and we'll see that more with, I think, the Super App and WeChat later, but can we develop tools that other people and developers can use that sit on top of this platform? At the end of the day, what happens when you have that? You imagine a mini app that is in WeChat. The end user relationship still sits with the mini app, right? So if I'm Starbucks on WeChat, technically, the person walked into a Starbucks store and scanned the QR code, and that's how he reached to your WeApp. They still own that customer relationship. So I don't really have an incentive to say bid on the customers that are already in my world. In short, right, I think the model that they are taking, less so for QQ but more so for WeChat, is that I give you the tools, whether it's the software or like the place to put your mini app in, or a place to that transactions can happen. I give you the tools for that to exist, and then I charge you a small margin on any transactions that happen.
Yeah.
That is quite different from I'm owning your customer relationship, or I'm owning all the visibility, and then I'm charging you for the right to attract someone and to show an ad to someone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I get it.
Model very different. It's more like, you think about it more like a platform, right? Like a Microsoft. And then I give you the different tools and everything.
Yeah.
And then you can develop a program out of that tool. And then at the end of the day, people still go for the program, right? It's kind of like, from a FMCG perspective, it's kind of like branding. I own the customer relationship, and as a result, a sales model or like a transaction model makes sense for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think at the QQ era, they were still not at that level yet. I haven't created this tool for everyone to use. But then they were thinking, okay, since I don't own something that people want to target, what's the best way of doing it? Microtransactions.
Interesting.
I don't think it's so. Both models actually, when you think about it from a marginal cost perspective, are pretty low, right? Not much marginal cost other than maintaining the infrastructure for matching ads. Also, not much marginal cost other than, you're basically creating pixels of content, right? And once you pay for the IP and people to design and everything, not much marginal cost also. So technically, from a margin perspective, both are pretty good. I think it just works differently because of the way that they sit in between the user and the, people that want to buy the products.
Interesting. Okay, sick. At this point, Tencent is professionalizing. Tencent IPO'd, and they are so ready, right? But the problem is this. An event was about to happen that would completely almost destroy Tencent. I feel like there's so many events,
I feel like
right?
you said that so many times in this.
No, but it's so true, right? It's like there's every single event that I said so far really almost completely destroys them. But this one also almost completely destroys them. And I personally think, right, is the final experience Pony Ma needs to become the person that everyone perceives him to be. Around September 2003, Tencent and Shanghai Telecom decided to cooperate to try something new. Essentially, right, QQ, they design a way, right, that you can use the platform to dial landlines and mobile phones. Okay, how does this work? I couldn't find an actual demo, but from what I understand, right, the users are able to call a specific number that then enables them to obtain a QQ account code. When they get that code, right, they receive automated voice prompts that then allow them, if they follow it, to access that person's traditional phone line. Okay. Why is this significant? Previously, QQ has always been performing on the instant messenger space and not eaten up anything that the telecom have, right? But over here, right, proves all of a sudden that it's able to handle a part of what the telecom provides, phone calls. Right? Okay, and now this by itself isn't that big a deal, except a lot of people, right, was saying that the strategy for Tencent at that time was actually to become a virtual telecom operator.
But they worked with a physical telecom operator.
For now, right? For now. And because of that, right, all of a sudden people started to go like, wait, if they can become a virtual telecom operator, what will happen to existing telecom operators, right? And will they therefore be just eventually redundant? But there was a trigger that happened, right, that made them want to move fast against Tencent during during the year that they IPO.
Oh, 4.
Yeah. And what was that trigger? That trigger was the China's Ministry of Information Industry issued a notice. They said, right, hey, this mobile telecommunications VAS thing that's been going around, honestly, we heard pretty shitty stories about it. I think it's time for us to clean up the space. Okay. For the people who aren't familiar, right, with when China makes a move on an industry to clean it up, like for the people who are not familiar, when they say that, right, they're really, really going to clean it up.
Yeah.
Like it's going to be a massive change in things, right?
It's a top-down driven economy, and when the government says they want to crack down, they really mean they want to crack down. And everyone, I think part of this stems from the social compact that was built out after the Tiananmen Square protests. Right?
Protests.
So it's a bit of a social compact. They know that when the government says crackdown, it means it's not just we are going to break up your business, but people go to jail, people might or might not disappear.
Yeah.
So
which is so scary.
It's crazy. It's really...
Right? So China, they had this exploding informal education industry that was crazy, Like at one point, right, the way like they market these tuition teachers is a bit like superstars, Like they would appear and then there'll be a stage and then it'll be like, oh, if you attend their cohort batch, right, you are a prestigious student, you're a student who really cares about the future. So there was this like superstar tuition center kind of thing. And there were companies, right, that was purely built in this informal education space. And then China was like, wait, it's time that we crack this down. To be fair, I think there's a logic behind it. The logic really is that by right, tuition should be to help people who are struggling to reach the average.
Not to be some mechanism for people to compete and
correct.
Game exams.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like don't become another lever, right?
Yeah.
To pull
and
to
create
make it
pressure
harder.
for society.
Correct.
And also, they have the Gaokao, right? Which basically if you do well and then you become like a government official or whatever, I think for them, too much gaming of that is also not acceptable.
Yeah.
Very scary actually, Korea, China, all these countries with this kind of nationalized
Such
exam.
intense nationalized exam, right? Okay, so now with all of that in mind, context is China Ministry of Information Industry wants to clean up this sector, right? So they're gonna go hard. Were they justified to do so? I'll say yes lah. So what was happening at that time, right, is that because value-added services was becoming something that really could generate revenue, and think about it, right? For Tencent, a majority of their revenue was via this VAS thing. There are some companies, right, that in order to get more people to subscribe to VAS, they essentially send pawn. Like they're essentially like a soft pawn company. Dude, there's this one company that rented a house, filled it with 100 women to just create soft porn and send it. Like
Crazy.
it's that point, right?
It's all these bunch of scams, right? Like bundling things into contracts that aren't supposed to be bundled, sending like soft porn. Yeah, all the unscrupulous things will come out.
Correct. And if you think about it, the internet population, I believe, is predominantly going to be males who are young. Right? This is crazy, right? Like how can they control themselves? If you say like this VAS service is so cheap and you can essentially get like endless amount of porn, right? Okay, so the situation got so bad, right, that March 15, China has this thing called International Consumer Rights Day. And what happens is they get a survey, they highlight consumer complaints and issues. So everywhere around the world, usually housing prices is the problem, which is number one.
Yes.
But number two over here, right, is literally unfair practices by telecom companies. Like that's the...
It's all unveiled.
Yeah, like, so all of this was building up, right? And I feel like the Chinese government, it makes sense for them to go like, okay, lock and load, let's clamp this down. Okay, what happened, right? With this trigger, and the telecom operators also feeling like, okay, Tencent might be a virtual telecom operator.
Yep.
What they first did, right, is that they start off pretty small. What they did is that they started closing down phone numbers that just didn't generate enough paid voice and SMS activity, right? Even if they are a huge contributor to instant messenger, they don't really care. All that matters is voice and SMS, which makes sense. It's an optimization that I think they should do. Then they started thinking about, okay, let's talk about this VAS contribution. So right, for context, right, what happened is when Telecom had this VAS relationship with all of these tech companies, right, why all the tech companies were super interested to do this is because the revenue split was 85-15, 85 to Tencent.
That's crazy.
Which is nuts, right? Okay. So for them, it was just very intuitive that they go, okay, let's just split it back now to 50-50. But from the context of Tencent, 85 drop to 50 is a huge drop, right? Okay, so that's one thing that they choose to also do. And essentially, right, they say it was like October 2004, China Mobile just called Pony and say, hey, you have to come to Beijing. Then straight up, that was the terms. If you're not happy, like...
But there's really nothing Tencent can do.
Correct.
They don't own the billing relationship with the customer. So what are you going to do?
It's such a... I mean, I guess this was going to happen sooner or later, but I just think that it happened so rapidly for them, right?
So I'm just looking at my numbers on 2004 revenue. They had about 1 billion renminbi in revenue, of which 600 mil was from mobile value-added service.
So what's Tencent going to do, right? They launched this thing called Super QQ.
Super QQ.
Okay, what does Super QQ do? How super is Super QQ, right? Super QQ is basically an SMS service that allows you to control your QQ account. When I say control, right, it's not like you can use your QQ account to, I don't know, like message another QQ account, and then after that, basically, your phone becomes WhatsApp. Like, no. Like, what you can do is that you can actually use it to update QQ, or more importantly, extract historical conversations.
So you mean they couldn't do that before?
Yes, like via the phone. So therefore, they needed this thing called Super QQ. How much did it cost? 10 renminbi a month. And it was profitable. So this actually tides them through 2005. Now, here's the thing, right? I think if you are the telecom companies and you see, right, what the heck? All they did is just release a Super QQ and then everything is all good again for them. I think what you will realize is actually how much youths really want access to instant messenger, right? More so than SMS. So much so that they're willing to use Super QQ. Okay, so what did they do? This thing, I'm not sure, but I suspect they talked to the government. Why do I say so? I say that, right, because suddenly in July 2005, the ministry itself restricts PC to phone, internet, telephone trials.
Okay,
why is this important? Because, right, you recall what I said earlier when they were experimenting on trying to find ways to use QQ to access phone lines. Part of this whole experiment that they're doing, right, is to test out different parts of what constitutes an end-to-end phone call and to see how they can put QQ
These are
inside.
still all on the telecom, but on the like the same infrastructure as
Yeah,
whatever
yeah,
the
yeah.
telcos. It's not like the internet like voice over IP
No,
stuff.
no, it's not. It's not.
Okay. So not like Skype lah.
Yeah lah. They rely on these people lah. Like Tencent relies on the existing infrastructure that these telecom people have, and also the only internet existing at the time was 2G. So there is a limit to how much you can send, and the
Okay.
connection is very unstable lah.
Okay.
But they were trying to test that out, right, and to optimize it within the environment.
I remember, I don't remember you remember using Skype voice calls or not.
Yes,
Especially when
terrible.
you're overseas, like a long time ago, right?
Yeah.
It's terrible, but that is already supposedly, I assume, better than this.
Yeah, but it was also quite cool, right? Like, I mean, back then
It's cheap lah, because I think even not so long ago, I think even when we were in uni, maybe whatever, how long ago were we in uni? 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago maybe.
yes, yeah.
Very long. But even at that point, I think roaming costs were freaking expensive. Now
10
it's okay.
years,
Yeah,
10 years ago.
yeah.
We are 32. 10 years ago.
Yeah, but that's crazy. But but
Man.
even then, I think roaming costs were super expensive, right? And then I remember if you use the Skype voice over IP stuff, it's like 50 cents per call, way cheaper.
Yeah. It's crazy, man.
But the quality really shit.
yeah, but
But you're telling me this one is even more shit.
yes, for sure. Like this thing is more shit, right? Okay. But still, I think there's a magic to it, lah. Right? Okay. What happens, right? So the ministry chooses to restrict a lot of these telephone trials, and they only allow 2 people. One, they say, is China Telecom. 2 are people that's called official license holders.
Okay.
Tencent never gets to become an official license holder. Okay. Now, right? Like Tencent's virtual telecom operator dreams is basically gone lah, right? It's basically gone. Okay. What happens then? Now 2006 comes and they decided that it's time for us to try something that is similar to WhatsApp. Whether or not we can achieve that, I mean, given the current infrastructure, seems impossible, but let's just create something. So they created this QQ app that essentially sits inside the phone and is able to send messages to each other like WhatsApp via the internet. Okay, via the internet. What's the quality of it? Extremely terrible, right? What did they do at the same time, right? They actually hired a whole sales team that will go down and they would push for pre-installation on phones that people buy, so that people's phone, when they get, would immediately have that QQ app that they design.
Okay.
And hopefully, they hope that people will use the QQ app and start messaging each other instead of using traditional SMS function lah. Now you
what
can.
is this app called?
It's called Mobile QQ.
Okay.
Mobile QQ. So, Mobile QQ, you can imagine if you're a telecom operator, right, and you see that, and you are already in a bit of like aggression mode, right? Okay, since you want to do this, right, I will destroy you. What do they choose to do? Okay. In that same year, 2006, China Mobile then announces that all private instant messenger now, including QQ and including all competitors, but let's face it, it's pretty much to target QQ lah, because they own like what, 70-80% of the whole market share. Your instant messenger must now merge with our own internal instant messenger and be interoperable. I mean, that is pretty hardcore, right? It's like basically, it's like almost telling Facebook, right? Hey, you need to merge with Google now, right? And then Facebook Messenger must be able to drop a message at Hangout chat or what, right? It's a huge thing. What happens, right, is that they say if you're not interoperable, right, what we're gonna do is that we're gonna drop you off our interface, right? What did Ponima say? He's like, okay, I think this is the worst lah. I think I'll officially say we won't do it, right? When they said that, China Mobile instantly announces, right, okay, QQ, you will be here until the end of 2006, right? So now they have a hard deadline of when you will disappear, right? And now they told all their users, if you still want to use all these kind of things, right, you can now migrate everything to our instant messenger too. And that's when I think Tencent was like, we have 2 options, right? Lose everything that we have here now, or just merge to some extent, get whatever we can get. And so they choose to do it lah. In fact, right, December 29, 2006 is only when they merged with the layer. So they really held it out as long as they could, right? Until the end of the year. But December 29, that's when it happened lah. And that pretty much ends the era of traditional SMS revenue making lah. So all of these things, right, that was impacting Tencent at that time, right, was eroding basically one of the largest, if not the largest, revenue stream, which again, right, explains why you see Tencent does a lot of things at the side. We were talking about them trying to make money off the consumers by doing all this QQ show, etc. And before the QQ show, they were so desperate, they even tried to throttle the number of signups, right, just to like find a way to make money. Just because the backdrop is like this, right, like they would lose everything the moment the telecom companies decide so. Here's what I think lah, and this again, nobody knows how true it is. But what was true in the interview is that Pony Ma and his team, right, said that experiences like this taught them, right, that what they need to own is the first thing users open in any kind of like flow, any kind of user flow. For PC is the browser. For mobile, which they learn, is the operator portal. And to people who know the apps that Tencent would release, like WeChat, you will also know like, okay, this thinking clearly led to them eventually with the idea of WeChat and how they want to build everything off the back of it, right? And they want to control really the entry point. So,
WeChat.
I think very, very interesting.
Side quest. Do you think there are a lot of parallels to ChatGPT now?
Yes, a lot.
Why? Quite right?
A lot.
Like just as you're talking about it, I'm like, that's exactly where ChatGPT is now, right? Owning millions, hundreds and hundreds of millions of
At
users.
the entry point, right?
At the entry point, correct. But then also, what's my monetization model? I don't know, right? I have some random monetization model. Like I have subscriptions, but no way paying for what I need.
Yeah.
I have ads that I'm trying out, but again, no way paying for what I need. Very similar to this Tencent at this point, I think.
Now, with all of this that's happening, right, by the way, there's over 200 instant messenger competitors at this stage, right? So it's important to know that this was a really, really tough time, right, for Pony Ma and team. Here's the thing, right? But what I wanted to share is that I think the two key experiences, right? One, during the tough, dark days where he was trying to sell his company, and two, during this telecommunications debacle where they force him out, right, and show literally they can do whatever they want if they choose to, I think really solidified how they would operate in the years to come lah. And that is there anything wrong with being a copycat? No, because when I tried to sell my company, all of you say that you can technically create everything that I have. So I will technically create whatever you have as well, right? Second thing is anti-cooperation is probably fine, right? Because as long as I own it and I'm the monopoly in it, I can do whatever I want. I can force you out. I can choose not to force you out. That is literally how it worked for me. So I need to get there. Do I really know, right? Is these the two experiences that led to him to think that way? I don't know. But I feel like it's just so clear, right? Okay.
If I were him, I think my takeaways from this era would be owning the user relationship is key. Right? The reason that I survived so many times is I managed to find some way to monetize, or someone looked at me and so I managed to find some way to monetize, whether it's through my own merit or like, someone saw my user base and say, hey, maybe I can give you a partnership to monetize this.
Yeah.
Or someone just saw the sheer value of my user base and be like, I want to invest in you. So
Correct.
I think that was probably one of his takeaways, right? No matter what it is, I got to own the relationship.
Yeah.
Probably,
either I own the relationship or the massive scale.
Correct.
Right.
Then he probably also in his mind, okay, I need to have more than one monetization model because someone could have always screwed me over at a certain point in my life, or something might have changed and technology, government, or maybe some partner doesn't want to work with you anymore. So he probably had that takeaway as well. So diversification was probably top of mind for him.
I think everything changed for them. I think this is where the bad reputation begins. And it begins, right, with them restructuring. What happened is that in an announcement, Pony Ma says, right, okay, now Tencent, our objective is very different, right? Starting now onwards, we're going to pursue what I call the online life. And what that strategy means, right, is literally we're going to own every single thing that someone pursues in the online world, which is insane, right? What does that mean? That means games, and that means, of course, social media. So, okay, we're going to talk about social now, which is QZone. Okay, so we need to backtrack a little bit, right? But by late 2004, the internet world is basically going through a socialization wave. When I mean socialization, I don't mean the politics, but I mean like literally social media
Network.
is erupting, right? What do we have? We have MySpace, we have Facebook, and we have in South Korea, CY World. Who is so random, right? But it's important because Tencent always looks at South Korea, right? And after that it goes like, okay, there are some things that we wanna
Okay, I have no idea about this. Tell me about
be inspired here.
Tell me about
They
this.
see CY World, and CY World has successfully in 2004 monetized a personal space called Mini Homepage. Okay? Personalized homepage. So when they look at CY World, right? CY World is essentially QQ Show but upsized. So what they did then, right, is that they realized if it's just QQ Show but upsized, let's just do that lah, right? So they took their existing QQ Show, added way more avatars, and created a personal room for them to place their avatars with more features lah, right?
I love the way you say avatars.
Avatars. Okay. So, right, what are some of these features that they have? Okay. They provided them homepage, skins, diaries, message boards, and one thing, blogging.
Blogging.
Okay, why is this blogging thing very, very important? See, what they expected, right, with QZone is that people will end up using all these features, which is what happened. But they didn't account for the fact of how many people was going to interact with each other on these features. How many people are going to comment on the other person's blog, and how many people are going to comment on my blog, and then eventually to create context, how many people wants to upload pictures. For those reasons, right, that when they hit 600,000 users, the whole thing just broke down. Do you remember like for QQ at one point, every single month they had like 1 million signups? So like that is how different, right?
Scale.
Correct.
Yeah. The evolution is always the same. It always goes from text to images to video.
Yeah.
Right? Even on like website or like Messenger, then once you start uploading pictures, wow, people go crazy. And then it goes to like even Instagram goes from like photos to reels, right? It's just the way that people consume content is very linear
It's more
journey.
engaging, right? It's more engaging. At this point, right, they realized, oh God, we are really messed up. So they actually took 1 year, 1 year to kind of really fix this. It was only in April 2006 the QZone get properly like fixed on its back end. Now at this point, suddenly it can take huge loads, and it was just completely like scaling up. At this point, I think micro innovations is where it came in at the right time lah, because they're no longer firefighting. There's true, genuine micro innovation. So they had screen mode, they had more media functionalities, they had animation, they also had audio. Don't you think like audio is one of those things that almost every single company has some form of like wanted to do audio before, like how they say Twitter used to wanted to do podcasts. Then in September, they launched this thing called Friend Circle. How Facebook could have a group of friends, right? And have all the friends update then inside a newsfeed. The funny thing is that Friend Circle was actually launched before newsfeed, before Facebook newsfeed.
Okay, but not truly a newsfeed. This is more like a group, right?
Not really a group because there is a feed where you see updates. But it's very influenced by who you're connected with lah.
Which is what they like and what they read.
Yeah lor. And you get the notification of when your friend posted something, like their avatar will have a different color. Then you will immediately go like, oh, okay, avatar different color. Let me click to see what it is. This thing was apparently game-changing just cause now they are directing user attention, right? Because previously it's like, it's just kind of, okay, people interact with your friends.
You go where you want to go.
Correct, but now they'll highlight, right? Okay, I want to highlight that these few people had a change in their profile.
Yeah.
Then now people are taking a look at it, right?
Social network lah. Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Very, very interesting. When that happened, right, everything changed for QZone.
Yeah.
Now QZone at Q3 of 2006, guess the number of users. Q3 2006. Back end fixed already. And the other clue I'll give you is that the growth that we see from QQ before, we're seeing it here. So what do you think is the total user base?
100.
Oh, 50 million.
You know what it is today?
What?
Still exists. 500 mil.
Jesus, 500 mil?
Monthly active users.
Okay, wow, 500 mil monthly active.
Yes.
Okay, back then, Q3 2006, 23 million monthly active users.
Wow. That's quite crazy, right?
Yeah.
You think all these things will have like been phased out or whatever?
No. The reason why, right, is because actually ecosystems are built off that's making money. Like there's this one entrepreneur, right, that literally his business model is taking childhood pictures for taking baby photos, children photos, and then creating for you your QZone account.
I see.
Yeah, so he used to have a corporate job, you know. He was working in IT, I believe. And that his entire business model now is just photography studios setting you QZone.
Still huge,
Yeah. And quite a few of these people, especially the older ones, are saying that QZone is used as their secondary storage.
For pictures.
For everything. Everything that they're not putting on WeChat lah. Right? Like if they want to store like images, they'll just upload everything there. So I think that's why QZone is around. Kind of like how almost none of us use Facebook, like the actual Facebook desktop, but it kind of still is around and exists, right?
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, at that point in time, right, QQ Show was doing well, so they shifted to monetization. What did they do? Same deal. Microtransactions, 10 renminbi a month, and then they just get a whole bunch of things lah. Okay, maybe I'll just share what are some of the things that they give lah, right, for the special privileges. More storage, actually for images. That was one of the most requested features. So you can see how it's used as a secondary storage system. Second is actually custom domains.
Meaning the name can be...
Yeah lah. That's something that they like lah. Now, the fascinating thing is this, you know, there was a report, I believe, by one of the big banks that said around 2006 and 2007, right, the whole of China's sale of virtual goods, right, is approximately 600 million USD.
Wow.
And they said actually QZone and QQ membership makes up the lion's share of almost everything back then. That's crazy, right?
Yeah.
Like, wow, like so many people are just buying membership tiers and just, I don't know, I just want more storage and buying this thing. It's quite insane lah.
Yeah.
The number of paid users, right, they said half of all QZone members had spent money on QZone. Half, That's crazy, If it was 50 million at that time, that's like 25 million have given, what, maybe 5 renminbi. It's still nuts,
Yeah.
right?
Spending all... I mean, it's a very different culture, I think. Like, wait, maybe it's from where they started. Because they started monetizing that way, and then it's just normal to do all these microtransactions.
Question, have you ever paid anything like a microtransaction?
Microtransactions, whoa. Maple Story, Gachapon, does that count? Or
Yeah,
like,
I guess that counts.
RuneScape subscription.
Really, a RuneScape, you pay a subscription?
To the member for a while, last time when I was a kid, long time ago.
I think I've never paid for anything.
Really?
Like a microtransaction, never. But I've bought, for example, like Blizzard, like Blizzard's
Games.
Warcraft 3.
Like AAA games lah.
Yeah lah. But I think microtransaction, okay, this is a thing that my entire family follows. It's just basically all these kind of free games, right? We rather just grind it out as opposed to really pay to play.
But the microtransactions that work are usually for games are usually cosmetic or
Yes.
like you can't really pay to win, because when you pay to win, people just don't play, right?
Yeah.
Or you have a separate server where the paying players that have better items can play together. I don't think it really works when you mix like the grinders with the pay to win.
Yeah, that totally makes sense.
People just quit.
We should totally...
But you think about it, right? Actually the the pay-to-win people, they just grind in real life and then they use the money to...
True.
It's just where you grind, right?
True.
You like grind,
Yes.
you either grind on the game or you grind in real life.
Correct. I had a lot of free time back then and I didn't do well in school. So
correct. So you grind
correct.
in the game or you grind in real life. You choose your heart.
You are right there. Okay, so this whole thing was happening for QZone. Everything seems to be fine until a Tencent employee visits Shenzhen. And in Shenzhen, he goes to one of the land shops. And over there, he realizes everything has changed. Okay, before we dive into what exactly has changed, you've been to Shenzhen, right? Okay, tell us about it.
You know Shenzhen's founding story?
Shenzhen's founding, like the entire Shenzhen's founding. No, what the heck?
Shenzhen is actually younger than Singapore, believe it or not.
Gee.
It's one of the youngest cities in China, I think.
Oh.
So it was founded in like 1979, 1980. It was the first special economic zone for China. So you know they said like, let's test this capitalism crap, right? Not crap, capitalism.
Capitalism crap.
Yeah, long live China. So they were like saying, okay, fine. After Tiananmen, we don't care about this like democracy shit. We just want capitalists and we want to test, right? China is a communist country. What does that mean for the economy? It's a supply based economy, right? So every 5 years, the government sets out a 5-year plan and say, yo, we're going to chase down ABCD industry, right? Previous 5-year plan was like semiconductors and whatever. Now it's what they call new quality productive forces or something like that. But basically it's like AI, actually gaming is included AI.
Really?
So,
gaming?
Yeah, AI, some gaming stuff, I think got semicon also. But basically, government sets up a 5-year plan every 5 years for the next 5 years what they should invest in. And then they say, okay, all these things is something that we want to prioritize as a country. This then gets cascaded to the provinces. And these local governments then are the ones in charge of executing. So they design their own policies like tax-free whatever. Then, because this is the way they do it, right, and like freaking like 15, 20 provinces all like try to chiong for the same thing, there's always an oversupply. Right? So just how many Chinese EV brands can you name?
BYD,
Geely,
NIO,
XPeng, whatever lah. But there's a whole bunch of these nonsense brands, right?
Okay.
Not nonsense. There's a whole bunch of these brands, right? Because there's an oversupply, and each ones are from like different provinces, or like maybe one or two are from the same provinces, but each one is from like. So at a certain point, it was EV lah. EV, they say we want to go EV. Then every XYZ number of years, right? They realize, okay, we need to guide because there's no capitalist force to say, the best guy should win. So at a certain point, there's oversupply. Finally, capitalism can take hold and say, okay, there will be one winner. So right now, I think it's BYD lah, right? Same for when they had real estate, blah, blah, blah. But basically, it's a top-down driven economy. They state their direction. Then there's a huge oversupply. It collapses. And then there's one champion.
Yeah.
Right? So why that matters is one of the areas that was chosen to test this capitalist ideology was Shenzhen lah. So it's actually quite young, 1979. So it's what? Less than 50. Younger than Singapore, 40 plus only.
Oh.
Chosen because it's close to Hong Kong, close to that Golden Triangle lah, Hong Kong, Guangzhou.
Isn't Golden Triangle a drug zone?
Is it?
Golden Triangle, wait, is it?
It's the Hong Kong, Guangzhou.
Well, I see in China there's a different Golden Triangle. I'm thinking of the Southeast Asian drug Golden Triangle zone. Sorry, I do too much true crime at the side. Okay, yes.
It's a good plug for true crime documentaries. So it's actually a very young city. It is the first special economic zone. If you go there now, there's actually like it's a very business city lah. It's very like high skyscrapers, very little fun things. Like their rush hour is 10 p.m.
Huh?
Yeah. So people get off work at 10 p.m. It's a different kind of place lah.
The 996 life.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the concept of the Hukou system?
No. Should tell me.
So the Hukou system is kind of like a registration system for where you first born / are associated with. Right? So there are certain rules where you can change, right? But basically you think about it as how they govern their social welfare as well as like where you can work, etc. Right? was designed, in my opinion, to control population movements, right? Because you don't want everyone to just Xiong to Beijing and Shanghai, and just squat over there and like. I mean, you don't control, then you end up with like a bunch of people lying on the streets, right? Exactly. Because, I mean, let's face it, maybe being homeless in the past, maybe being homeless in Shanghai and like doing some like odd jobs there might pay more than
might be a much better deal.
Might be better than the rural areas. Then maybe you just grind out there for like 3-5 years and then you go back and like you'll be fine, right?
Yeah.
So how it works is basically you can only access your social healthcare, education, whatever pension benefits if your Hukou is in that jurisdiction.
Okay.
Right? There are a couple of classifications, but at a very high level is rural versus urban. And then there's a specific like location, so maybe a certain province or administrative region, depending on what level it is, right? So then your Hukou determines where you have access to these government-provided systems. Now, next question is, can you move lah? Right? It's possible, but there are like point systems. So it's not just rich, but it's like point systems. So what are examples of things in the point systems? For example, education, right? So you want a Shanghai Hukou. Maybe you need like you have a master's, then you get more points. Or you got a like a PhD, you get more points. Your professional skill level and how they measure that sometimes is by income. So the title of your job, how much you earn, also gives you some level of points. There are also quantitative factors like how much tax you have paid in certain jurisdictions. Then you earn
more points
for how much you have cumulative tax you have paid.
Okay.
Right? All these and your age also lah. So cities want younger people, so you start off with a higher point if you are younger, something like that, right? So then you add all these together, and then when you hit the point level, you can actually get a Hukou system, right? So some of the crazy things, right? Like some cities have things called high-end talent, right? So you are top talent, like a Nobel Prize winner, which is like how many out there? No need to see. You are fast tracked to the Hukou system, and it's important because it controls population movement, and it's a legacy of the past. But I think they are trying to make it a little bit easier to move right now, but it still exists lah. And the reason it still exists is, frankly, in higher tier cities, the benefits are better. If everyone moves there, that province or that city is going to be bankrupt.
Yeah.
Essentially, right?
Yeah.
So legacy of the past lah, right? And
okay. But you say legacy of the past, but it's a problem now, is it?
So you take a city like Shenzhen, right?
Yeah.
Where I think most of the population or a large part of the population don't officially have a Hukou in that area as well. So maybe on paper there's like 10 million people with a Hukou, but it might be more like 20 million people that actually go there and work. But the fact is that people have found it more lucrative to not have all these benefits and still work in that city with high talent density and high job opportunities. That's how crazy it is, right? People are willing to grind it out and without all these benefits because they think that there's a better life for them there. Problem that this has now is, well, if you think about it, it generates a level of socio-economic inequality.
Yep, at birth almost, right?
Yes, because I have a barrier towards going to a city, and when I go there, even if I take the risk and go there, I am disadvantaged.
Yeah.
Right? So it is promoting a level of inequality that remains within the system. And yet I cannot do away with it because I don't have enough money to bring everybody up a level. And imagine if I tell the people that already have a Hukou, sorry, I'm going to cut everybody's benefits by 30% so that we can tolerate more people. You're going to get a huge bunch of pushback. So it's a very delicate balance. I don't envy the position that the government is in.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Because there is a practical reason behind this. So that is Shenzhen, right? And what happened is during this time, QZone was doing really, really well, but a key employee of QZone decides to visit Shenzhen. He goes to one of the land shops. And the funny thing is, according to him, right, Shenzhen back then was actually viewed as dangerous at night. So when he was going to visit this land shop, dead in the night, people were telling him like, you better be careful. and the land shop might be filled with like drifters or whatnot, right? Like people that's gonna cause problems. So you better be careful. So he went there, and for context, right? Land shops last time, they actually call them, which is honestly so bad lah. They call the people who go there the three lows.
Three lows.
Yeah, so low age, low education, and low income. Yeah, it's quite douchey lah, right? What the heck, three lows? But anyway, he went there surrounded by the three lows.
Yeah.
And what he was expecting, right, is that look, QZone's numbers are good. I should be seeing a lot of people using QZone, but he doesn't. What he sees instead is that everyone opens up this website called 51.com. Oh my God.
So Shenzhen was pretty like low income then, is it?
Yeah, very. He realizes that it is essentially a social media app, which is a direct competitor to QZone. Now, what happens next? He goes to the next LAN cafe and the next LAN cafe, and something really, really mad dawns on him and soon the QZone team, which is that, firstly, for context, internet cafes, right, is growing rapidly within China. And internet cafes, right, for context, at its peak in 2009, there are about 168,000 internet cafes in China, of which there's about a combined 12.6 million computers. And that's roughly 150 million people going there annually.
You think about it, right? Actually, there's not a lot of computers for the number of people.
Yes. That means that people go in and out very frequently and they keep using it, right? Okay, why is this important? Because the total internet user count back then is about 300 to 400 million. What does that mean? If you win in LAN shops, right, you can win close to 50% of the internet audience.
That's a statement that I didn't think out here. If you win in LAN shops.
Correct. And the crazy thing is that they realize they're losing in LAN shops. It's 51.com that's totally dominating.
And maybe just now you said 51.com is a social media platform. I think you're being a bit kind to it. Maybe I don't know what you have an image of 51.com, but basically, if you look at it, right, it's like, yes, photo album and music, but it's playing on like those catfish, beautiful girls.
Yes.
And it's like, I mean, if you wrap Tinder with MySpace, I think that's what 51.com is for everyone's context. And that's how, I mean, you think about it, the migrant or lower, basically a lot of these three lows are actually migrants and people that like move from city to city. You can see why, right? They move to a city,
and they're lonely.
Correct. They're lonely, they want to have some company. So maybe social network is a little bit kind to it. It's Tinder, it's Tinder with MySpace.
Right? Okay, curious question for you. The single largest internet cafe LAN shop in China, how many computers do you think there are?
Single largest, I assume this is like a 3-floor thing.
Yeah?
Maybe like a...
It has billiard table, it has a food court, it has a supermarket.
900, supermarket, 1,200 computers.
Oh my God, no. It's, for a second, I thought you were about to say 1,700. It's actually 1,777.
Okay.
But dude, you were so close, man, when you suddenly bump it up.
Because you said supermarket.
Yeah, but isn't that crazy though? 1,777
it's a lot.
computers.
I remember the LAN shops in Singapore had like 30 computers.
Yeah, and that was like pretty decent. Right? Okay. I just want to show you a picture of like how some of the top tier LAN shops look like now. This thing is a LAN shop dedicated for esports.
It's crazy,
Yeah, it's insane, right? There's literally, as in, okay, like if you remove the computers on the left-hand side, right? And you look purely on the screens, right? It looks like a proper sports. Like, oh, there's some sports betting or something, like a high premium sports betting place. Okay, 51.com. Why is it scary? You see, it's founded by this guy called Pang Shentong. Am I saying the correct? Hanyu Pinyin? Maybe not. But anyway, it's founded by brother Pang, right? He was actually born in a mountain village, you know.
Is it?
Yeah. And he was very inspired to join the tech wave. And guess, when he joined as a salesman, which company did he actually work in originally? One of the founding companies, which is Jack Ma's Yellow Pages.
Okay.
So he is very deep in that kind of like, you gotta battle in the grittiest way possible, then you will win. And he really, really understands like Chinese psychology. And coming from the grassroots, right? I think he really understands how the tree lows from land shops. They think lah, right? And I think that's what makes him a really, really dangerous person. He, right, surprisingly didn't make his money off tech. Do you know where he made his money from?
No way.
Okay, so May 2005, actually there was a massive real estate speculation happening within China. He was one of those that actually made a lot of money there.
This guy is probably going to be hated by everyone.
Yes, yeah, he managed to speculate and make his money. And with that, right, he decided, you know what? My heart belongs in tech.
Still young.
Yeah, so he decides to go back
How
to
much
tech.
did he make in real estate then?
Enough, right, to acquire a database company for 1 million renminbi.
That's not crazy lah.
But still, it's decent.
Yeah.
He probably makes multiples of that in order to feel comfortable, or he's Mr. All-In and just all-ins whatever he has made.
Like Elon Musk.
Right, okay. Anyway, he tries to like build up this internet database company, but guess what? Nothing much happens. Then he goes to an entrepreneurial gathering. Over there, for the first time, he hears someone says SNS or social media.
SNS is such a Korean way of saying it.
Correct. So he asked himself like, what in the world is that? And in fact, he asked his friend, like back then he has no idea what it was. He asked his friend to write the word social media for him. He starts to search it. He realized that, okay, this could be big. He takes his database company, completely changes it and says, okay, now onwards we're called 51.com and we are going to be all about
Social media.
What does he do? He starts off with pictures. Pictures, which is to your point, he starts off with pretty suggestive sexual images that was being shared. Now, did he push for those pictures to be out? I think the answer is no. But overall, that's how the platform was being used lah.
Yeah.
A lot of sexual images lah.
Yeah.
Guess what? In 3 months, right, he made 5 million registered users.
Yeah.
Yeah, this it's a pretty lonely time lah. Lonely time in the land shop.
It's true, right? Like without guardrails, I think the internet either goes to porn or to violence.
Yeah. It just goes to the seven sins.
Yeah.
Like whatever the seven sins is, right? That's what it is. Guess what? In Jan 2006, right? Surprisingly, Sequoia Capital saw his business
And liked it.
Yeah, I wonder if they saw the content, right? But anyway, they just went, this is it. We're going to invest 6 million USD, you know?
Oh wow.
So that's insane.
Yeah, it's
right?
pretty big for that time and also
Correct.
for like I assume it's Series A or C.
Yeah, correct. So what did they do with their money, right? They actually poached Tencent members.
Oh wow, it's a war.
Yeah, it is. They, in total, right, hired 10 important employees,
Yeah.
including a key personnel that had spearheaded games and microtransactions
I see.
within Tencent. So you can kind of understand why the Tencent employee from QZone, when he was in the land shop and he heard about 51.com and he sees the results, he's scared, right? Because that's what's happening. Now, here's the thing. Internet cafes is really where you will win lah, in that era. And what happened is that he built up an entire sales team, right, that will cover all the prefectures, giving out 51 merch, mousepad, t-shirt, posters. And even, right, dude, he even went to the land shop, right, and he said, hey, this wall space got nothing on it. What if I spray paint 51 logo and I pay you this, like, I don't know, small amount, will you accept? A lot of land shops agreed. So basically, a lot of land shops started to look like 51.com shops lah. So he was really quite hardcore. Now, while that was happening on the sales side, right, what was happening on the tech side is that 51.com, when they pivoted to become social media, they were like, you know what, let's copy everything that QZone had. And in fact, right, the team, one of the team members were interviewed, they said they had the ability to copy whatever Tencent releases within a month there. So whatever they see within a month is in. It's quite crazy lah, right? Okay, and here's when Tencent realizes they are the number one enemy. They realize that they're the enemy because 51.com, right, after that had this strategy where they told every single person who has logged into 51.com that, hey, if you want more people to take a look at your social media homepage, just put your homepage link into your QQ account. And so now, right, everyone's QQ account had this logo and this URL, which is 51.com. And so because of that, right, they said they grew by multiples, you know. It's insane, eh? So what in the world did QZone do, right? QZone realized that they fixed their back end. But what happened, right, is that across regions, QZone, while it can now take in more users, they realize that users are dropping out. And what's the issue with that, right? The issue is simply they're not optimized across every single region to the internet sufficiency at that place. So what the head engineer did, right, actually quoted, is that he told everyone, okay, I want you all to tell me the load times of QZone across everywhere. What we're going to win is we're going to optimize our load time so that it's so fast and efficient. And what he said is this, funny enough, he said, if anything is more than 5 seconds load time, load it red. If anything is less than 3 seconds load time, load it yellow. And if you are 3 to 5 seconds, load it green. Doesn't it feel a bit confusing?
Yeah,
okay. Anyway, look, to me, it should have been red, yellow, green, right? Based off load times. But anyway, that was kind of what they said lah. Okay. After they marked that, right, do you know what happened to the whole of the China map that they had? They realized everywhere is red lah. So basically, everywhere the load time is more than 5 seconds lah. So they're like, oh god, only like major cities
yellow.
Did they like, okay, they are kind of doing decent. Okay, so what did the whole team did? They actually targeted, right, block by block, and they'll focus and grind it out, right, to optimize how that QZone works in that region such that it's able to be faster and faster and faster. So that's what QZone was doing. At the same time, right, they were like, you know what? If you want to fight in the internet cafe, right, we'll fight law. So apparently what they did is that they started to hire very hardcore people to promote lah.
Hardcore meaning mafia.
Yeah, no, I feel, right, borderline like that. Do you know why? They said, right, when the QZone and the 51.com people go, right, if they see the other person's poster there, they'll rip it out.
Yeah.
They'll throw away the mousepad and replace it with their new mousepad. Of which they also said that if they so happen to meet in person, they'll go into gang fight.
Actually, honestly, I think in Asia, very normal.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even all the FMCG distribution also, they just tear down. I mean, I don't think they fight lah, but they will just tear down your...
Correct.
Or spoil your cooler or whatever.
I think there's definitely very combative things that they do, right? But it's just so scary that this is happening in LAN shops everywhere. Imagine you go there playing LAN as a 14-year-old kid, right? Then suddenly at the side you see gang fight happening. Yeah. Wow, it's crazy lah. But anyway, that's kind of what they're doing, right? And finally, the one thing that QZone did, right, is that, I mean, this is the part that people hate them for lah. They essentially optimize using QQ distribution, right? So using all the QQ messenger, they all of a sudden funnel traffic massively lah into QZone lah. So
that's their trump card lah.
Yeah, that's their trump card. But on top of that, right, do you know what did they do? They say, hey, look, we have this bunch of membership for all of our apps, right? Here's what we're going to do. Every night at 12 midnight, if you come over to specific internet cafes and use QZone,
you can get it for free.
Yeah, we'll give you free membership.
Oh.
Wow.
Pretty smart.
Yeah, but wow, cannot win, yeah. You know what I mean? What also happened is that 51.com tried to do something similar lah. They copied some of their paid membership features, and then after that offered them for free. So 51.com was quite hardcore lah. Right? It's like, okay, this thing usually you need to pay Tencent. We will literally give it to you for free now in order to drive traffic lah. Right. End of 2007, right? Actually, what is the results? QZone ranks first in traffic, but number 5th in terms of engagement.
Meaning usage.
Yeah, lor, like people commenting and interacting. 51.com, they surprisingly rank 2nd in traffic, and they rank number 1st in engagement. So whatever they're doing, right, 51.com, is causing people to really comment on a lot of things lah. Now, how much of it is suggestive photos? I don't know. Do people really comment on suggestive photos? Okay.
Hey, DMs.
Right. Hey, girl. Okay, whatever. Anyway, now at this point, right, it has become pretty intense lah, right? And 51.com knows that they really, really need to win. At this point, Sequoia, Intel, SIG, Redpoint Ventures, in total has invested close to 50 million. This is like, you must win, right? So where did the money go? Okay, let me tell you where. All of a sudden, right, there was a company called Shanghai Honglian Network Technology.
Okay, what did they do?
This company was offering a plugin. This plugin, right, was called Rainbow QQ. Okay, what does Rainbow QQ do? Rainbow QQ helps detect, as in what they tell users, is that it helps detect real IP location and reveal true statuses.
Whether it's online or offline.
Yes. Like somebody could edit their status as offline, but actually they're really online. And you can see that lah. Then what does real IP location mean, right? A lot of people are lying about where they are from in order to get like better perception, right? You say that you're from Shanghai or what. So this one actually really tells you where you're really from. And apparently they said that it was used very often for hookups. And they really wanted to know, are you nearby, right? Can we have a proper hookup? So there was this plugin that was like out, and this plugin was going viral, right? Okay, now what can this plugin also do? Right, so Tencent started realizing, hey, actually this plugin, firstly, everything that it says that it's gonna do is wrong, and it shouldn't be doing is like espionage against our tech. Secondly, is that they kind of realized that this thing can extract information like user IDs and all this kind of stuff, right? Like it's you are stealing my data. You're literally creating a Trojan horse to steal my data. That's kind of what's happening. So they went to investigate. So Shanghai Honglian Network had one key investor. Who's this investor? 51.com. Jesus Christ. And the founder of 51.com, our dear friend Brother Pang, is the chairman. They are not even hiding it, right? It's like, at least give me a few more shell companies. Okay, anyway, Tencent called them out. Brother Pang essentially says, you know what? No, wait, that's not what our plugin is supposed to do. Our plugin has no commercial motives whatsoever. And in order to settle this thing, I will no longer call it Rainbow QQ. I'll call it 51 Rainbow. Okay, I have no idea how does
51 Rainbow sounds like a LGBTQ site for 51.com.
Right? Okay, like what is going on, right? Like, okay, maybe this helps. Who knows?
How to answer the question without answering the question.
Right. Okay, what happens next, right? 51.com is now under a lot of pressure because they've been fighting this thing for quite long. They have been doing corporate espionage, essentially. And now they still need to prepare for their NASDAQ debut. All of the investors say, hey, bro, we need NASDAQ debut. Let's go. He says we're going to do this by 2010. Right now, time period is 2008. Of which he actually said 2009 to 2010. So his last timing is 2010. Now, here's the thing that's happening. I think at 2009, both Tencent and 51.com will realize this. In 2009, right, it's actually the highest point in which LAN cafes grow. From 2009 onwards, it'll be a decline downwards. So I suspect that 51.com kind of realized like this battle around the LAN shops, this is it. Like it's come to an end. We need to really do something else, right, at this point. What do they do, right? They do a number of things. They move into monetization very quickly. They finally decided, okay, you know what? I have seen how mini games and random casual games are making money. We're going to open up our API. Now 51.com is going to allow web games. But in order to make it even faster, they didn't vet what these web games would be. So in the end, right, they started to get all sorts of like real crappy nonsense in there that it starts to slow down their user experience, right? So 51.com is like, oh God, actually what have we done, right? Okay, we need to backtrack this. We need to like figure out how to solve it. That's one thing. Second, they now suddenly have to allocate more resources to go into campuses and big cities to try and get a larger audience beyond the LAN cafes.
So they completely gave up on their social angle.
They would argue that they didn't.
They did.
But I think in practice, right, when you look at it,
yeah,
it's just getting pretty too diversified. Right?
I honestly feel So do you feel like if Tencent didn't do anything, they would still have won? Like
No.
51.com would have
No,
died?
100% I think 51.com would have maybe win or at least be on par.
Without the, I mean, take the illegal stuff aside on the espionage and stuff.
Yeah.
I actually feel like from the starting point, 51.com was in a lot worse position already. I mean, they are targeting a lower ARPU demographic. Like how many of these people are gonna spend microtransactions on their avatar? I think it's much lower. They didn't have the same entry point as Tencent, like, hey, we can ask our users to go on this platform. So I need to pay customer acquisition costs, or I can espionage it.
Espionage.
And then they are also spending a lot on, I mean, their version of marketing, which is like going around and going to land shops and stuff. So I actually think their overall model was a lot worse already.
Yeah.
Which kind of forced them to pivot. I mean, all this like espionage thing and competition and getting whacked by Tencent, I think didn't help. But I honestly feel even if Tencent didn't do that much, minus the espionage, they would still have been relatively okay.
Okay, my different POV is that I think short term they're not going to make money. But I think long term, right, a lot of these audiences as they grow older will then be very, very monetizable, of which they have already captured their audience.
Okay.
So I actually think, right, for apps like these, like 51.com, they're the kind who long game, they would win if nobody squashes them. Which is why I thought like, okay, actually Tencent made a lot of right moves to really, really squash them early. But I also do think that 51.com clearly got so stressed at this point, right, that it's like, whatever, man, I'm just going to do whatever it takes to win, even if like it involves sending Rainbow QQ into my other enemy. Here's what happened next, right? What happened is that when all of this shift was happening, all of a sudden, there was a big news lah. 51.com's head of product development quit. And that's when all of a sudden, I think around the Tencent team, they kind of know like, okay, everything that we're doing makes sense. It's obviously causing pressure to 51.com. And 51.com's strategy, not everyone is agreeing right now. So you know what did they do? At that year, Tencent files a lawsuit against them. And that's when they take them to court, right, for all this Rainbow QQ nonsense. And surprisingly, right, they actually didn't demand a lot of things. If I'm not wrong, they only demand 500,000 renminbi. And for context, remember they were invested with 50 million. So 500,000 renminbi is nothing much lah. But I think what that really did, right, is that it essentially accelerated the fracture that 51.com has and kind of destroyed their momentum. From then onwards, right, it was a slide down law.
They still exist today as a casual gaming company. I think one of their investors was actually a gaming company. So there's this company called Giant Investments.
Interesting.
They took a 25% stake and they are more like hardcore gaming company. They have like MMORPGs and stuff. So I think that also shifted the focus. They invested, I think, around 2008 before all this, and they took a 25% stake in 51.com. So they probably had to say, hey, this is not working for you in a social network. Please pivot over to games, right? And then that's when they started their entire pivot to casual games and monetization there. If you look at their website today, it's looks a bit sus. I mean, there's just a lot of games.
Describe to me the website.
It's like a lot of like different, like you remember like mini toons, those kind?
Yeah?
Yeah, kind of like that, like with a lot of like games, and then you can log in on the website, you can play games there, you can click on servers that you want to join. So it's like a mix of RuneScape and mini toons, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you see advertisement there?
There's some, not a lot. I assume when you click into and actually play the game, there will be more.
Yeah.
But I actually think the model is microtransactions and a bit of advertisement.
Yeah, makes sense. Okay, this is actually only one part, right, of their online live strategy. The other thing is in online live, right, there's actually so many things that Ponyma wanted to do. They actually also went into e-com. They launched this thing called Pai Pai to attack Taobao, right? And they also released Soso.com, which is to affect Baidu, right? And their campaigns are quite aggressive.
Okay.
Like, just to give you an idea, right? Like, their e-com campaign was this. Okay, so when Jack Ma started Taobao, he was telling everyone, for 3 years, right, Taobao will be free So go and sign up and I won't charge you merchants or whatever or extra fees, right? He broke his promise lah. Basically, less than 3 years, he was like, okay, I think we already got market dominance. It's time, right, that we kind of monetize. Pony Ma's Tencent's campaign, right, for Pai Pai literally says, right, oh, we are truly free for the next 3 years. So it's a bit like, it's quite a jab lah,
Yeah,
right?
in your face lah.
Yeah. And at that time, right, actually, because Tencent was pursuing so many different angles, e-com, search, and this whole social media debacle, actually, right, around the tech world, people started to say that Pony Ma is public enemy number one. So this is where I think the negative perception begins. And I think rightly so, right? Because he doesn't sound very collaborative lah at this stage. At this stage, he really sounds like what he had heard before, which is fine. If you think that you can copy out my technology, I'll just copy out your technology now that I have money, right? So that's when I think a lot of the things happen. What else happens here? A key person in Tencent leaves. So their chief sales officer, the great, fantastic guy who helps them with the first VC and then kind of pilots a lot of their sales, he essentially leaves. And who is the next right-hand man that takes his place? Martin Lau, the guy who did the IPO. By the way, fun fact, right? Do you know his salary was like, okay, so firstly, Martin was asked to join Tencent when he was like, during the IPO on the plane, one of the founder woke him up and he woke up. Then the founder was like, hey bro, you want to join Tencent? And he's like, crazy, yeah. Then he went back to sleep. But then after that, right, he was asked again. And during the second time, he gave a true thought about it. And he said yes. Do you know his revenue, by the way? No, not his revenue, his salary. Guess how much it dropped by?
40%.
More.
Whoa. 60?
70%.
Wow.
So he made approximately 1/3. His salary dropped all the way to 1/3 lah.
Yeah,
okay, maybe in terms of stocks, he's paid a lot, right? But I mean, in total, that's what they said lah, in terms of his salary. And he, Martin, becomes the next right-hand man to Pony Ma. Okay, a bit of a discussion time. Question, a lot of people say that the sales guy was essentially a source of conflict in Tencent, and actually Tencent had desired to push him out.
I mean, nothing in detail, but I've seen like he was super aggressive, like to push his points, like he basically some products that he didn't really like WAP, and he was just very vocal about, hey, we shouldn't go down this route. And I also think the tech-related founders probably care about his opinions a bit less, right? They are more purists. They are more like, hey, technology first. So normal to have that tension in most organizations between sales and tech. But I think he was outnumbered, to be very fair, 4-1.
Yeah, correct. But then contrast to Martin, right? When Martin is actually someone who is so supportive to whatever Pony Ma had initially wanted, right? Okay, but here's the thing, when they say that he's very confrontational, a lot of the times, right, actually they say that his opinion is the same with all the other co-founders. Well, is Pony Ma who's the only guy who really wanted...
Well, you think about it, his main contribution at that time was probably mobile value-added service, right? Because that's where...
Which is huge.
But going down, and at that point in time, probably not very important really, to be very honest, right? He brought in a lot of the partnerships. They're probably like, hey, he's not thinking about new areas of growing this and new, more strategic ways of diversifying the revenue streams. And the area that he's most known for, the partnerships with the telcos, the SMS, I'm just talking about the mobile SMS value-added service are going down, right? So they're probably like, it's the right time to push him out lah.
Right. The thing is, Western literature is quite similar to what you're saying. There's a lot of this like, this guy probably got pushed out for XYZ reason. But I think it's a bit more nuanced just cause when you see him leave, right, he was actually given a lifetime consultant role.
Emeritus advisor.
Yeah. And that is like apparently decent. And what he did is that he actually started a VC firm, you know.
Decent.
Yeah, and do you know his VC firm guarantees that anyone who's an ex-Tencent employee is guaranteed to have a slot to share what you want and most likely invested in. Okay, that wraps up our second arc of Tencent. Now, sitting over there, hearing everything in November 19, 2010, is a man called Zhang Xiaolong. This guy, right, essentially, he's like, okay, this is going to be the important year for me. It's time for me to become successful. It's time for me to create WeChat. Boom, few months later, WeChat 1.0 emerges. It's a complete failure lah.
Whoa, you know you click more, you can click like male only or females only.
Yeah, it's freaky. Why split by gender? It says people near me feels quite crazy.
Yeah,
A
intrusive.
bit intrusive, right? Crazy, right?
It's another level lah compared to what we have in Singapore.
Yeah, it's just so insane. It's imagine if all the apps that you have on your phone is now integrated into WhatsApp. That is so crazy.